And then you can actually expand your view up there also.
I think this thing.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, good, you're good.
Hey, Mary.
Hey, how are you?
Are we recording it right now?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
So you could hit stop video.
Where's that?
I think you could hit the stop video right now. Down the bottom,
Right there.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay, all right.
And then,
And then when you, and it should come back on.
then when we shut everything down, the recording is all automatically saved.
Just, when you get ready to stop the meeting, it says end meeting.
Yeah,
Click on that, that's all you should have to do. You wanna make sure that the meeting ends, cause you don't want it to continue.
right,
Because then it's too much data and can't be uploaded, that's the problem you had last time.
all right.
Okay,
Thank you, Mary.
you're welcome.
yeah.
How are you?
Good, how you been?
All right. Well, I got a friend of mine who wants, he was gonna come and, it's a public meeting, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
But he's upset about the, moorings that they put out, well, they got a course for water skiing.
Yes,
Over there in Meriwether. So he's done a lot of investigation. He talked to a guy who put it out, a guy named Luke Dean, you know who he is?
yeah, he lives right on 27,
Yeah.
across from the golf course, just kind of see where those old, 4 or 5 motel units are.
Yeah.
And, that's what, I know you can have them, but you have to have a permit from them.
You gotta have the permit from the state.
And you have a certain amount of time.
Then the question becomes, I mean, he's put a lot of it in heavy concrete ballast, you know, in moorings to hold these things, so like 200 pounds a piece. He says he's gonna take them out.
How are you gonna do that? It's probably easy to drop in and take out.
Oh, I'm sure they're easy to drop in.
We need like a, piece of equipment to
Yeah,
hold up 200 pounds, and,
oh, yeah.
30 feet down. Whatever it
Well,
is.
it's about 10 feet, but yeah. You know, Main Dock and Lift has this thing that they do that. Hi, Lenny.
Afternoon.
Hello. I told Michael remembered.
I talked to him yesterday. I talked to him.
He's not eager. I'm gonna take,
Great minutes, Paul.
do it. Then we'll send it.
Yeah, it kind of makes it. I did contact Kimberly Dallas to see if she wanted to come and something.
What did she say?
She didn't get back to me, so I presume she probably.
I remember, I talked to her. At one point, she said she was coming, but I mean, not recently.
Well, I contacted, right shortly after our last meeting, I contacted the incoming president of Friends of Messalonsky and explained about how, Mike was leaving, had left the board because of change in his work situation, and that would they please, explain what Lakes Committee was. I didn't say anything about our changing over, and I just said the Lakes Committee. And I pointed her at the website on the town website and so forth, and said, would you please see about appointing someone to take Mike Garina's place? And she said, yes, we'll do that. And then I never heard anything. And so yesterday I sent her a reminder saying, oh, that's right, I copied you, yeah. And she did not respond to that, so. I also copied Janet Townsend, who it seems like she might be an obvious person because she is a Belgrade resident and
Yeah.
she's active on Friends of Messalonsky. So we'll see what happens.
This says it's recording things. You never know.
It tells you when it's recording.
It said it's recording now.
Where's it at? Oh. No, starting the video was recording. What happened to?
Oh, warm and humid. Pretty bad until you take a look at the map of the country and see how hot it is some other places.
We got a stepdaughter who lives in Austin, Texas.
Oh.
110 degrees.
Yeah, well, in fact, we have some friends, this is a woman who was really best buddies with Barbara from in college, and they've stayed in touch ever since. And then she and her husband, and he grew up in the Boston area, and the families summered on Great Pond, so they know this area, he knows this area pretty well. Anyway, they were living in Austin for years, and they have just sold their place in Austin and they're retired now, and bought a place on the North Shore of Boston. They can't take it. Well, there's combination of two things. One, they say Austin itself has changed dramatically in the last 15 or 20 years. It's grown so much that they just don't recognize it anymore. It's become a big cosmopolitan city, and it's not really the city the small city they knew. Plus the heat is just so oppressive. They just stay inside for 7 or 8 months a year, and it's so hot they can't go out. So
Even in Boston.
I know my daughter-in-law was up here for 6 weeks with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Because it's so hot in Austin.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they just actually I think they're
Okay, good.
closing on their house in Beverly. I think it's in Beverly.
Yeah.
Closing on their house in Beverly sometime during
You see us, Mike?
September.
Okay. Mike's on the phone, logging in.
You're not related to Robert, like.
Nope. I'm not.
The East Coast.
Well, in fact, I used to get his mail, and maybe he got mine, I don't know. When in the early 80s, I was at the Harvard Business School, and he was at the Kennedy School.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But no, no relation. Now, my name was actually my grandfather. It's my father's name, and he was Russian. His name was Paul Baganov, which meant half wealthy, and he immigrated to Germany and Paul Reich, which is half wealthy. And when he came to the U.S., he became just Reich, just to say not Albright, but just Reich.
Mike Barrett, are you in? Okay.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Can we sell you a lake? We have 7 on offer. Great Pond, Long Pond.
How much for Great?
Well, that is one of the more expensive lakes, actually. I don't know, what do you think?
It's up a Monopoly game already.
I'd say, I don't know, 4.5 million,
$4.5 million what?
dollars. I mean, if you make an offer, that's our asking price, so that's negotiable to some extent,
That would,
we're not gonna consider a low ball like 3, but if you
Oh,
come
you
at
say this is
4.2 or
before
something, we'll talk about
yeah,
it.
I mean, I can do that.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And we are the Lakes Committee, so why not?
That would give me exclusive rights
So we're good.
to the lake.
Oh, everything.
Do whatever I want to do.
Okay.
Oh,
Mike.
absolutely.
You
Yeah,
hear
have
us,
it.
Mike?
Sure.
Mike, can you hear us?
I can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh,
good,
great.
good. We're gonna begin the meeting. We have a guest, Monk Terry, longtime resident and champion rower.
Outrigger canoeer.
Yes. If it's all right with us, could we wanted that Monk just
Yeah, sure.
do his things, he doesn't have to wait an hour.
Well, I mean, if you, yeah, I mean, I can tell you my tale,
Yeah, sure.
my tale of woe. Yeah, so, I think it was a week ago, what today is Wednesday, right?
Yep.
So I think a week ago, Friday, we noticed, that a buoy system had been installed in the lake on the east shore of Great Pond. It has 18 buoys. Well, they're actually lined up, or at least that was the intent. There are 18 of them, they're red and yellow, and the whole thing is 400 feet, 395 feet long. And it's
How far from shore?
one end to the other, it's exactly 200 feet from the closest point of the shoreline. So I was surprised to see that there, especially when I took a look at it later. Each buoy is held in place by a 150-pound cement mooring.
Okay.
And
Now, they're not, no one's permitted to put anything in the water beyond 200 feet from shore.
well, okay, that's something that I got some different information, or that would be good to have it clarified.
Yeah, that is, I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Perhaps they got a permit from Fish and Wildlife or some agency like that. You don't know that. And if they did, then it might be legal. What is it? Do you have any idea?
Permit.
Let me finish my tale of
Sure.
woe.
Mike has got more information.
Yeah, so I decided what is going on here, and I've had a lot of experience on the water, I've had a lot of experience doing races and actually laying courses myself.
Okay.
So when I looked at this, I'm not a water skiing slalom course, but when I looked at this, I found it difficult to believe that it was put in to be a temporary thing, because you know what it takes to wrestle one of those cement moorings. So I called thinking that Great Pond Marina might know something about it. I called them and got well, we didn't do it, but we know who did it, response. I said, well, great, have them call me. So, and then while I was waiting for that to happen, which didn't happen until yesterday, I got in touch with the warden service in Augusta. He told me that, first I called Hans, and he said that the town specifically has no particular jurisdiction over something like that. The warden service said to put in a water skiing course, you have to have a permit. The course needs to be removed once the regatta or the competition is over. And I said, well, that's interesting, because this doesn't look like it was meant to remove particularly. So he thought that was interesting. He said that he would talk to his assistant warden to check it out over the weekend, meaning this last weekend. When I got back in touch with him yesterday, he said that his warden had reported that the buoys were gone, and I said, well, I can still see them, so I don't think they're gone. So I took a whole bunch of pictures of the moorings, and I sent him pictures of the moorings and the buoys and the coordinates for where the course actually is. Then in the meantime, I sent an email back to the Great Pond Marina and said, I haven't heard anything. It'd be great to talk to somebody. So I got a call from the gentleman who put the course in. He said he didn't know anything about a permit. He said he checked that out, but he said, I mean, do you have a problem with it? And I said, well, I mean, yes and no. How did you choose to put it there? And he said that he thought that he had been told, or he thought that the shoreline was vacant, quote unquote. I said, well, no, it's not quite vacant. And that there used to be a slalom course there. I said, yeah, that was like 15 years ago, and the PVC pipe that they use is still in the lake. So anyway, the guy I talked to, his name is Mike. I sent him a text and said, by the way, have you read Paul Doran's book? Because that story takes place right where this,
What book is that?
it's called Dead Man's Wake.
Yeah.
He just presented it in Belgrade.
Oh,
It
okay.
takes place right there.
Yes.
At least we think it did. We don't know exactly what he had in mind. Anyway, so he was very nice. He said that he wanted to put up the course so that his kids could water ski and not look at their iPhones or whatever. And I said, well, that's a worthy goal. But you know, I learned from looking at the state regulations that submerged land lower than natural low water is state property.
Mhm.
So that's a lot more than 200 feet. The 200 feet line, I think, is about weight, which is very explicit in the regs.
Right.
You cannot create anything, you cannot have anything other than headway speed within 200 feet of the shore.
Right, but there's also a regulation that you cannot put down a mooring
Oh, it's past 200.
past 200 feet.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to squirrel your way through those regulations and.
Because this committee has spent a lot of time looking at issues relating to moorings. And not the kind that are used for courses like that,
Yeah.
but for holding boats and swim platforms and things. And so we're familiar with those regulations.
Okay, well, that's
I know that 200 feet is the maximum.
So that's good to know. So that's, I mean, so he said, well, I'll take them out. So we'll see if they go. I have no idea how he put them in. A couple of them were upside down so that the buoys are underwater. Cause they're attached with bungee cords to the rebar. So, I mean, to me, for me, there are a couple of issues related to it. One is, community use of shoreline and water. And we meaning my family and Camp Meriwether which is what this shoreline is very happy to have people enjoy themselves. And I think we've been reasonably generous with having people come walk on trails on our property and so on, if invited or if they ask. It gets a little more complicated, obviously, in the water, but it is a concern about wakes, and wakeboards have become an issue, I guess. And there was one out yesterday. And these buoys are in about 9 feet of water, 8 or 9 feet of water. So that's what I can tell you.
But you told us the state says you need to get a permit for this?
He said you need to get a permit and it's for an event.
He being the warden?
He being Mike in Augusta, I assume he's a senior warden of some type. He didn't tell me exactly what his stripes were, but, so, I began to think about, I think it would be great to have a water skiing course that you could put up and use for an hour and then take it with you.
Well, what you could do is put down the moorings I'm not suggesting that that's what should happen here, but what one could do is put the moorings down on the bottom of the lake and just leave them in place, and only every so often for an event or something, put the floats up. So that normally there'd be nothing there as far as any surface use would be concerned, but 2 or 3 times a year, the buoys would go up and you have your events.
Yeah, and I think, And so I understand when I mean, the other thing that was interesting is that we've had probably four of the best water skiing days that I can remember in the last 20 years. And they weren't out there. There weren't that many people out there even over Labor Day. So, but I think, not that I'm recommending wakeboarding and water skiing, but as a communal activity, maybe there's some way to think about controlling it so that people can enjoy it, but not have it bother other people. And my wife reported she took a hike because if you know that lane, it's very steep, right in front of the buoys is the steepest part.
Where is it on?
It's between what we call Horse Point or Richards Point. It's three quarters of a mile ashore there.
Down near Hatch Cove, is it?
No,
Near
it's
Hatch Cove?
No, it's around the corner from Hatch Cove.
Around the corner.
Yeah,
I mean, if you go west from Hatch Cove, you go around that point, it starts, that's where Camp Meriwether is, and it's about, well, it's 1,000 feet from my dock,
From Hatch Cove, you go north or south?
north. Hatch Cove would actually be a better place to water ski.
you're right in there, it's kind of got.
Well, it's completely sheltered from the northwest wind and,
I see, okay.
or along Hoyt's Island. But so I don't know whether there's a consideration to so the other thing, Camp Meriwether owns Oak Island and, Oak Island there's nobody there, of course.
Mhm.
And that along with a couple of other islands on the lake have been used, in the case of Oak Island, by Pine Island Camp, Brunoya, and, I think Moden might have even been out there once or twice, but, so that's fine with the folks at Meriwether. But it does sort of beg the question of shoreline that seems to have no one there, like along Hoyt's Island and Chute has some.
I'm on Boyd's Island.
Yeah, there's a lot of space where it seems as if nobody's there, so, oh, let's do whatever we want. So that's sort of, for me, that's the issue.
Luckily, we're real deep, so it's a good buoys.
Well, it's the question whether what's happened here is illegal or not.
Yeah,
And it seems, you say they can't put a mooring beyond 200 feet. So if they're putting these moorings in beyond 200 feet, that's illegal and they can't leave them there to reconstruct the course.
Right.
That's true, yeah.
So that doesn't work. And, but we don't have any jurisdiction.
no, it seems like the warden said you need a permit and it must be removed once the competition or use is over.
Yeah, and I said, well,
How long is
to
it?
me, it doesn't look as if this was set up for competition, which the guy basically said, yeah, it's just to have it out there and take his kids water skiing. And he said, well, I can go water skiing in Maranacook, so I guess I'll just go do that, I'll take him out. I said, well, okay, I mean, so I think so it's been a learning thing for me and I mean, from where I am in the winter, we've had a lot of issues with water skiing and wakeboarding and crazy people, jet skis, companies renting jet skis. And I don't know if this is within your purview, but, one of the things we did learn from some people who they went into shore along the same coast or shoreline and parked their boat and climbed up to the top of the ridge that has the best view. They actually strung up a couple of hammocks. And this was a couple of years ago. And the guy said he was an American Airlines pilot and lives on Jamaica Point somewhere. I don't know if in fact that was true or not, but he said that he had been given sort of instructions from the marina that was a good place to go. So that, I mean, I addressed that with the marina and I think I talked to Bob Gardner about it. He said, no, we would never tell anybody to do that. So who knows? That one was, besides the fact that I would never lie in a hammock that high up over you know, a 200-foot drop off. But anyway, you know,
Well, I would think that we should follow up with, perhaps with the warden.
Yeah, I think that's something we should do. I don't know if we have any direct, we don't have any direct, control over, but we can be a liaison with the warden service, so we know what to tell people when they come in.
yeah, I mean, he didn't tell me who the warden was. I don't know if there's more than one that, that it has Great Pond and it's, but we didn't see anybody out this last weekend. And I didn't want his assistant warden to get in trouble. I said, so, you know, sometimes it's very difficult to see the buoys and if from certain light and certain angles, you can't see the buoys, which is true, actually. So I think that would be great to have a, which goes to safety. And last year we had my wife saw someone in a sailboat sailboat was upside down and she was sitting on it. And, you know, that gets into the warden life and, I mean, and Andrew Dallas went and got her, but that whole, I mean, I don't know if that's part of your committee work or not, but.
I think he's with emergency services,
Yeah.
Andrew,
Yeah, and he said that if you call 911, I mean, I called him.
Yeah.
If you call 911, it would probably end up with him anyway,
right,
since they know he has a boat.
Yeah.
The fire rescue does have a boat no, I think, well, I don't, is it at the marina?
we're at the Center for All Seasons.
Well, I know they had one at the firehouse for a while, but of
Keep
course
it at the farms. It's a Boston Whale. It's a nice boat, actually. It was donated to them.
Where is it?
And at the station down the lakes, down the village.
Oh, great.
It's not in the water.
No, it's not in the water.
Cause they might, probably right, they might need to go to Messalonski, they might need to go to
Right, okay.
Salmon McGraw or Great Pond or Low.
Plus,
well,
where they gonna put it in the water? Where they gonna keep it, you know?
I don't know.
That's the thing. They keep it, it's worked out pretty well. They don't have to go out often, thank goodness, but when they have had to go out, they were able to respond pretty well. She shouldn't be on the bottom of that sailboat. That's probably illegal.
You're right. She was exhausted. I mean,
Yeah, imagine.
she didn't want to let her boat go. And Andrew said, look, it's getting rough even for me and my boat here. So you have to leave it. It'll be fine. We'll come back and get it.
Yeah.
So the boat was fine.
Did you ask if she wanted to join the yacht club, Monk?
No, I did not have any interaction with her. Andrew probably did. We haven't seen her yet. A little traumatic.
I tell you, you're right. There are a lot of crazies out on this lake. I mean, I see them go by my place all the time. And they don't, most of them I don't think even know or care about the 200-foot rule. The way if skiers go by, you know, I could practically hit them with a tennis racket or something. In fact, I've thought about it.
Well, I mean, so there's a question as to, you know, what can you do about that except educate people and try to because that would violate the 200-foot rule or 200, is it 200 feet? Yeah, 200 feet, which isn't, just fairly close.
Well, what you can do, and I'm on Salmon Lake, and right across the lake, I'm up right at the very northern end of the lake, which is the widest part, and directly across the lake from where my wife and I are, is a place that called Wheeler's Camps, and she has the woman who runs it has about 10 or 12 camps that she rents out on a weekly basis. And a lot of boats, especially the wake boats from Camp Moden, but all other boats that were kind of going by were getting awfully close to her point, closer than 200 feet, you know. And so she put out a row of big red buoys she put them down just right at 200 feet. She got a big cord, big piece of rope that she measured out 200 feet, and she had one person stand on the shore And she went out 200 feet, or maybe 198 feet or something, and plunked it down, plunked one down here and then went another 50 feet and plunked one down there. And basically made a row of these things to show where the 200-foot line was, and for them to keep the hell out,
Yeah.
keep out. It was basically, it was pretty clear, it was a keep out of these, keep away. And it's been very effective. She did that about 4 or 5 years ago and does it every year now.
So they're out there now then.
You get a
they're
permit for it?
Right now.
How is that different than the situation Monk discovered? Did she get a permit for it? I mean,
Yeah,
I
there was-
sympathize with the woman, but nevertheless, you can't say, well, it's okay in that case and it's not okay in the other case.
Well, you're right. She doesn't have a huge number of them. She's got maybe 5 or 6 of them. And they're just plunked down, with 200 feet from her shore. They're just to tell these wake boats to stay away. They're probably not, strictly legal in terms of the regulations.
Obviously not, if you don't have a permit.
It's one, I don't know if the inland, fisheries would do this, and are they the ones that do the buoys? Who does the buoys?
Inland fisheries.
Inland fisheries, because,
The Warden Service probably puts them in, I'm not sure that.
Well, it depends on on our lake, it is done by kind of proxy by an individual who does it under the aegis
Yeah.
of, I guess it's IFNW, he worked one of the state agencies.
Used to be Parks and Recreation. I don't know if they still do it or not. Or Parks and Public Lands, I guess they call it now.
because,
State agency.
Ben and Barb Ford in their sailboat discovered that there was a rock on the south end of Otter Island.
It was an unfortunate way to find out, isn't it?
Yeah, it was bad, actually. So they came and put the buoy in, and I told Ben the other week that there's a chart in the All Seasons from 1932, and the buoy was there on that chart.
Oh,
So it had blown away, obviously, and no one, so there's a question, like, who pays attention to all those buoys?
IFNW.
Number one, they don't put a buoy out unless the rock is outside of 100 feet, I believe. They won't mark a rock that's close into shore.
Yeah,
I don't
that, you're,
know where that rock is that you're talking about.
I think you're right, Michael. I mean, I spoke to someone at IFNW because I was trying to get a mooring off of, Snake Point. Off of the Petrix property. And
Mhm.
I sent it overhead and he wrote back and said, we'll not put anything within that 100 feet or some measurement close to the property because it has to be way out there. So he wouldn't do it, although it's dangerous. People all the time are hitting these rocks.
There's a whole string of them.
Yeah, I think the logic is that they have to go headway only within 200 feet. So if they hit the rock, it's not going to do a lot of damage. If they hit the rock and they're going faster than that, good.
I have a thought, why don't we post it, this no wake regulation at the town, you have to put it, we should have the regulations for these lakes, wherever the public access is.
well, you can do that, but people are not gonna read stuff at the public access. They're there to launch their boat and keep flying.
It's a little, I can't remember how many years ago, it was probably 10 years ago. It was storming and raining and cold. A guy showed up like a wet, I don't know what, at the Meriwether dock. He had no idea where he was or which way he was going. He had rented a boat at the marina, and I'm not throwing anything at the marina, but he had come out of in between Hoyts and the mainland and going right instead of left. He didn't know where he was going. We sat him by the fire, warmed him up. I drove the boat to where we found out he was going, which was Bear Spring Camps. And then somebody else drove him to get to his wife. But I mean, that was pretty scary, actually. I mean,
Yeah,
no idea, didn't have a chart or a map or anything. I mean, so I don't know. I think there are a lot of places like in Miami where I am in the winter, there are lots of no wake buoys. Not that people necessarily pay any attention to them, but
It's getting more boat traffic.
yeah, I mean, we have hazard buoys out there south of, Forest Point, which is, it's shallow in there, but it's not
Yeah,
dangerous.
we've got them on Great Pond, between Hoyts Island, and,
Not many people know what the buoys mean.
That's exactly right. They get in the boat and they just take off. They go out and buy themselves a big old boat and they
Most
go
of these-
crazy.
they're marking rocks, a strike buoy
Right.
for, that type.
Right. Well, I mean, and I don't think there are any regulations, but we've had more than one pontoon boat come and park literally 50 yards from our dock and turn up the music and have a nice time, which is
I'm seeing that a lot now.
pretty annoying.
Other people come in with the same,
So, and the last one I said, you think you could move down the shore? There's plenty of room. So they eventually moved, and when they went home, they gave me the high sign. It's like, there's no regulating that. What are you gonna do?
well, I think we could do some research with the wardens.
Yeah, I think we should follow.
I think it would be great to have a good liaison with them.
Yeah, just see what really it is, and then, we can get something back to you, what we find out.
Well, that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just, or whatever's right and appropriate.
Well, I think the warden should follow up and make sure that this guy's gonna take the buoys out. Is what he said he's gonna do?
He did not say that. I just said, listen, the guy said he was gonna take him out. So don't break a sweat. I'll let you know if it doesn't happen. And I'm trying to, I mean, all I have to do is walk onto my dock and look to see if they're there or not,
It's
It's
obvious.
Yeah, and Kitty looked out from the hill and looked at the buoys and said, this is wrecking my view.
You don't want anything
I
sudden.
said, all right, take it easy.
Here you are.
Here I am, yeah. Yeah, right.
We'll report to Kitty.
Full report, all right. Well, I've babbled on enough here.
No, it's good, this is what we're here for.
If you'd like to see some pictures of these buoys.
I've seen ski courses before. We've had some in the area in front of where we are.
Yeah, I mean. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
And this is what's on the bottom.
That's on the side, looks like it's on the
It's
side.
on the side, yeah, this one is not, obviously.
We think.
What the-
Really out there.
Has anybody seen a warden on Great Pond at all this year?
Yes, somebody told me there's
Hearsay.
where it is.
Yeah, big course.
Yeah, 400 feet.
Wow.
So I mean, when I looked at it, it was like, I think I even told him, I said, the course isn't even straight.
We got a lot of
All right,
Number 9, Bellboy.
We'll get back to you.
But Luke, the guy who put it in,
right.
has told you he's gonna take it out?
He said he would remove it. Yeah,
Luke Bean,
Luke Bean, yeah.
he lives right on
Do
27.
you know him?
Yeah, not personally, I know where he lives, so right across from the golf course, I believe.
Oh, all right.
And,
Is there anything that we should do to?
I mean, at this point, I kind of feel badly because, he gave me the story about wanting to take his kids out, which, I mean, they're in school now, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know when he would go skiing with them except on the weekend, but. Yeah, he was very nice on the phone. It was not,
yeah, we can probably just follow up with the wardens and see what the.
I mean, I said, he said, I'm gonna take him out. I said, well, it took a lot of effort and money to put those things in there. How are you gonna get them out of there? He said, oh, it's not that big a deal. Well, I don't know if you've wrestled with those things, but I have.
Maybe he's 10 foot tall.
You certainly can't grab, I mean, they're held with bungee cords. I think I said that, and you can't pull it up with a bungee cord for sure. You gotta have some chain and a hook
Some way to.
and a big boat.
big boat to winch it up, probably.
Yeah,
Those are what, 150 pounds, the ones that
I
are
think
down
so.
there? Yeah,
yeah.
that's a little bit of overkill, actually. I wonder why.
Plus, He may not be planning to take the weights out at all, but just take the lines and the buoys out.
Well, I think that's probably a pretty good guess.
But you can't do that because you
Well,
can't
it's,
have moorings
right,
beyond 200 feet.
well, he told me he was planning on taking him out for the winter. But if I had done that, I would have no idea that I was gonna take him out for the winter. Why would you do that?
But you would like them out of it.
Yeah, I don't want a skiing course right there. I mean, it's like,
Permanent skiing course.
yeah,
Yeah, but
temporary, I would have no problem. So now I'm designing one in my head, like how would just could put it out so easily, have it on the line.
Yeah.
But you could use anchors, be really easy.
I've seen them like that, a couple of people have done them for just 2-day events and taken them out.
I mean, I've laid a 1,000-meter rowing course
Yeah.
with steel cable and a buoy every 10 meters, so it's not that hard if you have the equipment.
Yeah.
And you don't need a big boat to pull 150-pound weights.
Okay, thank you.
We'll follow up.
You're welcome. Yeah, and Mike and Augustus, sounds like a good guy, so seems to be eager to do good work.
That's
That was
that's a fellow from Fish and Wildlife.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want I can give you you want me to give you his number?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And who's this, Mike and,
This is Mike and Augusta.
was he a warden? No.
He is a warden.
Yeah.
His number, and I have his private number too. Let's see. Gotta make sure. The number. I want to give you the
Business number.
business number, not his.
Right.
I sent the picture to his. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm having trouble.
That's all right.
I think it's 207-287-5305.
287, got it. 287-5305,
Right,
business.
Mike, yeah, I didn't get his last name.
We'll get in touch with them.
Okay,
Thank you.
see you all later.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It's always something.
Yeah.
Now we can begin with our new business. The first item was making a revision of the Lakes and Natural Resources Committee bylaws in section 4. When the select board read through the bylaws, they found part of that confusing. That they wanted us to clarify it, mostly to basically clarifying the terms of the committee chair. Is that
Right.
In number 1A, chair could, it says will not serve more than 2 full terms in succession, each term, 3 years. I think some of us have thought maybe a consecutive 1-year terms, voted every year.
Yes,
It might be a good way to do it.
sure,
I think we talked about that when in its inception,
yes.
remember? And it somehow didn't get made into
Right.
this. So,
You're suggesting we have vote on it every year?
yes, the way the vote time typically would be at the annual, that month of the annual town meeting, that's when normally they vote on those. That's what they said in the,
What are you suggesting now? One every year for the chair you're talking about?
yes. What do you think, Mike?
I think that's fine. That's the way most of the committees work, actually.
Yeah,
You know, and if we have a good chair, in all likelihood, we're gonna reelect he or her.
Yeah.
And I really think that's the business of the committee, not anybody else. Who the chair should be. Now, unless the select board's got a problem with a particular individual, but then they're kind of on thin ice anyway, as far as I'm concerned. But I think that's fair. 1-year term, you can have as many terms as you are on the committee, up to as many terms as you're on the committee. As long as you're reelected.
But just to clarify you. So is there a maximum of terms? A maximum of years?
3 years.
three,
3 years, but you can have up to, I think it's up to 4 terms or something like that. Maximum term to be a committee member. We're
maximum
talking-
committee members, 3 years,
Yeah, and up to how many of those? You can have like 3 or 4 of them.
yeah. But we're talking about the chair here, yeah.
The chair, that's what's confusing. They use the word term for both things. But the term for the chair, what I'm suggesting, and I think what you suggested, Pat, is term for the chair is 1 year. But he or she can be reelected as long as the committee wants him and as long as their term is still in effect. They haven't gone to the end of their terms, the end of the 3 years.
Well, obviously you can't be elected chairman unless you're a member.
Oh, yeah, obviously you got to be a member.
So, but there's no limit on the years that a person can serve as chair? I'm just asking.
I'm suggesting that's the way it should be. I don't know that that's what the charter calls for now.
That doesn't call for anything.
I think, yeah, it's just confusing, right, frankly, right now.
Like, you-
But I think what's fair is 1 year. Reelected as long as the committee wants you to remain as chair. If they don't want you, they'll vote against you.
So unlimited terms at years as chair, provided they feel he or she be elected. I guess, it's not a big deal. I don't think we need to, all right, that's fine with me.
What's your name again, Steve, is it? Steve, right?
Steve? Thank you, Peter.
Paul knows what I'm talking about, I think.
I know.
I mistook him for somebody else this weekend.
Lenny, could you be able to revise that in the,
We do.
bylaws?
What we're agreeing on is that the chair gets elected annually at the March.
Yeah, the first meeting after the annual town meeting.
Yeah, and it's unlimited re-elections as long as, there's no limit on how long the person can serve as chair.
Well, the only limit is how long you're on the committee.
Well, you can be on the committee, what is it, 12 years? Is there a limit on how long you can be on the committee?
I don't think that's gonna fly with the select board, because I know that Lorna was saying that she thought it should be something, that the limit should be something like 3 or 4 years.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. So
I wasn't there,
that's the select board will not abide that, I'm pretty sure. So
You wanna say,
FYI,
They won't do that with their own chair. They won't do that with their own chair. What the hell? I mean, this is the first year that they've had a new chair in quite a while. And only
No,
because
no, what Melanie served for 3 years, I think.
she served from the time I got off till last year.
Really?
Yeah,
Are you sure? When was that? When did you get on? I didn't know that.
about 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years anyway.
4, well, so it's been 4.
for about 4 years?
Well, that was an unusual circumstance in that there just wasn't anybody else that would do it or could do it or was.
I don't want to talk about it now. I have my own theory on that.
Yeah, well,
We
Oh,
could
there-
say that the term.
well, so that would be 4 years. I'm saying, my sense was, the sense I got, this is from Lorna now, not from the select board per se. Was that she thought 3 or 4 years was appropriate.
All right, so let's set a limit. What do you want, 3 or 4 years?
Let's say 4.
Go forward, we can always go last year, they can always.
Let's say 4 years. Say 4 years consecutive, that way someone can do 4 years, take a year off and then do 4 years again, that's,
Yeah, consecutively, yeah.
Well, how can you make it 4 years if you only have a 3-year term?
Well, people can
Because
be,
he gets reelected.
can re-up on terms for, and this is in the bylaws or
Right.
for, I believe, 3 terms, is that correct?
2 full terms. A chair cannot serve more than 2 full terms in succession. Now, full term,
What the hell does that mean?
that's,
Term
that's,
what? So that's the
that's what-
part that's,
that doesn't make sense to what we have.
Right.
that's the
so-
part that's confusing.
But an individual, this is not, has nothing to do with officers.
Yeah.
But in terms of serving on this committee, or the committee that this is gonna become, that speaks to how many times you can be reappointed, isn't it? 4 3-year terms or?
Yes, they had no problem with that.
Right,
Or
but
3 years, was a maximum of 12 years.
years, right, actually 12 years on the committees, right.
But the term is 3 years. The term is 3 years, you can have 4 terms. So the
Right.
point is, after 3 years,
So someone could serve as chair for 4 years, which would just run over between,
Right.
2 terms. That's how that would work.
Right. We
what do
all
you
agree.
do, what do you do if the chair is not reappointed?
Then that person is no longer chair, they're not chair if they're not reappointed, and somebody else has to be elected.
They're gonna be a member. You can't be a chair of the committee that you're not a member of.
Obviously. But that's,
Anyway,
I guess what I'm saying is, look, if you want to limit the amount of time, limit it to 3 years. That's the term. That's the same as a term. That's the maximum you can have in your term. If you have 2 years left in your term, then you can't be chair more than those 2 years because you can't be sure you're going to be reappointed.
But the chair term is 1 year. Every year you gotta get
You
reelected.
get reelected, it's reelected every year.
All right, okay, I misunderstood what you're saying.
We over it all.
That makes sense. Every year, you vote
And
for
you
the
can-
chair every year, chair and the
Yeah.
vice. chair.
No more than 4 consecutive terms, 1 year.
1 year term,
1 year term.
that's right.
Right.
Okay,
Do we have a vice chair?
me,
Okay. Is it anything explicit or implicit that the vice chair is to become the chair?
if you want to elect me, sure, but I don't have a right to the office when he goes away.
Cause I'd like to finish this year, and someone else can take it.
Oh, you would? You do that as a secretary too?
My only duty is if he can't show up, if he's sick, if Pat is sick or he's away or whatever, then I take over until he gets back. That's my only real duty. That I can
Okay.
see.
All right. What does this say with regard to the election of secretary?
We don't have a secretary. I don't
It
think,
says, once the secretary is elected, that person will stay.
Stay forever.
Stay
for life,
secretary.
yes, for life.
All they say is, you will take written minutes of the meetings to be shared with the town clerk upon their approval. No tournament.
No, that means once you're elected, you're there, that's it, you're pretty much stuck, yeah. In fact, you don't have to be approved by the select board first to stay on the committee, you're just on the committee right until they cart you away, yeah, that's it, pretty much.
For the last breath.
Locking up and stuff, you guys have a key and stuff,
I got a key,
okay, no code?
uh,
No,
no code, just have the front door key.
okay,
That work all right?
that'll work.
Thanks, Nick.
Secretary's the only one that doesn't have to be a member of the committee.
That's right, yeah, you can just stay in second.
We gotta change this, don't you think?
Yeah, you gotta change this.
I think it works great. What a deal. You're getting better and better as secretary all the time.
Practice makes perfect.
Well, and, you know, after another few more times, you'll be good enough, you can go out on the market and just get a job as a secretary somewhere.
Grapevine Yacht Club is looking for a secretary, so it's not me.
So, Lenny, can we call on you again to kind of insert this new language?
I guess,
You're the wordsmith.
Yeah,
I'm the wordsmith, I just have to, yeah.
You have to understand what you're gonna write though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there is that, it's there. All right, okay,
I gotta put this on.
no, yeah, I just need, send me the document that I'm going to insert it into, just to make sure I have the right, that I'm doing it for the right thing.
May I suggest if you're going to refer to the length of time the chair can be chair, you use the word years rather than terms.
Yes, we'll be.
So it's gonna be 3 years or
for
4 years?
No, it was four.
I thought we said 4.
Four, and you said that was okay since it was the term was 1 year and you could be reelected up to 4 terms.
yeah, each term. is
4
1 year.
1 year terms.
Yeah.
Right. Consecutively,
Yeah.
after that, they could take a break and go back. Yeah,
That's right.
begins again.
Yeah, all right, okay, just make sure I have the send me the document or whatever. What be helpful.
Put on the record,
Paul, email you.
Yeah, very good.
put on the record that I think it should be 3 years.
You want it? All right.
I mean, I think it should be allowed a maximum of 4. It's nice to have the continuity. If someone's willing to do it, if they're not, they can always say, no, done at 3 and that's enough.
So if you're looking at our bylaws, it says the chair shall not serve more than 2 full terms of succession. Do we remove that and just leave it at what we've got here? 3, you know,
Well, what we would do is the chair shall not serve more than
3 consecutive or 4 consecutive.
4 consecutive 1 year terms in
Exactly.
succession.
Right.
And then where it talks about electing the chair, it should just say the chair will be elected to a 1 year term at the first meeting after the annual town meeting.
I'll send you this stuff tomorrow. Lenny.
Okay, that's fine, sure.
I email everybody in the agenda, the email before, the day before, I put all this stuff in, so you may have it already, but I'll send you this.
Okay, fine.
Just to make sure. Thank you.
Sure.
By the way, everybody on this committee has been sworn. You all been sworn in?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, yeah, keep that in mind when we're talking about new people. Because we are a standing committee of the town, you have to be sworn.
Yeah.
Good.
well, we've got the change to the bylaws. The charter, which is the second document, has the 2 sections we need to revise: the authority, which speaks to when it was convened and why, and the purpose. And as a Lakes Committee, they said the authority began on March 15th, 2019. Board of Select Person approved the formation of an ad hoc warrants committee, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll have to do a new authority insert for this one.
All right.
And the purpose is paragraph 2. I'll resend this to everybody. It was just kind of a statement why we're doing it. In the Lakes Committee charters, lakefront property accounts for majority of Belgrade's property tax base. The lakes are a centerpiece of the community's tourism industry. Thus, the lakes are a crucial to Belgrade's economic and retail vitality, aesthetic beauty. The lakes must be a resource that must be protected, preserved, not only for the community, but for the entire state of Maine. So that, they can have a total lot of that stuff.
Yeah, but it's not just the lakes anymore.
No, so that's why that has to be rewritten.
Right. Or you can incorporate it in the mission. Almost by reference to the mission.
Right.
And that, the mission statement is in the bylaw,
The mission statement is,
we worked on it.
we've got that done.
But you can just incorporate them. The purpose of the in the charter as the same as the mission statement in the bylaws.
Right here.
Yeah,
It's plenty of offer, that piece. Could go.
that's the one, that's the meat of it that we should,
That's the meat, and we have it under authorities and duties. But that could be also
that could be
the
the
purpose,
purpose.
it's written to cover that.
Yeah, you could repeat it or just
Yeah.
incorporate it by reference.
And I think we can't really finish the charter until they approve our bylaws.
Right, because they signed the charter.
They sign the charter and they'll have a date, so
Right.
maybe today we just immediately we get them the new bylaws, they'll sign off on that, then and then get a charter date and do that.
Once the bylaws are approved,
Yeah,
we'll work on them.
and I think if we can get it as soon as possible, I'll send it in to Laura and we'll get on the agenda just to do that. I did talk to Silver Lake with Carol Johnson. And that was the crux of that confusing language that the other one had.
When might this go before the board?
This one, we got 2 meetings. A
A month.
month, they've had one.
There was just a meeting, last night. This is today's Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a meeting last night.
So if we can get something soon.
Yeah.
I'll get it to Lorna and she'll get us on
Okay.
the ticket.
Like I said, we will do a meeting in 2 weeks and then either 2 or 3 weeks after that, depending on how the month falls.
The only other item I had on the agenda is the recruiting new members. I talked to Kimberly Dallas last month and exchanged emails and invited her to log in today if she could, but I think it was not a good time, too short notice. I'll reach out to her again. I think she'd be an excellent candidate. And
Now, I know that the select board is moving on. Working on trying to find candidates for a number of committees, not just ours. That we're not the only town committee that is significantly down on membership. That they see this as a problem and that I'm not sure how they're planning to do it, but that they're trying to beat the bushes and get more
yeah,
people on
you can
committees.
see that with recreation committees, and almost all
All of them are
of
down.
them are down.
Down the members, yes. So presumably we'll get some help from the select board in
Yeah.
filling out the committee, which may or may not be a good thing. Right.
Well-
Okay,
They've been trying to find committee members as long as they can remember. People just don't want to come forward. So if you have one like Ms. Dallas, go to grab her right away. Have her put an application in.
You'll follow up with
I'll follow up with her, yeah.
I agree. Kimberly would be a hell of a good member of the committee,
Yes,
but she needs to apply.
exactly. Well, I'll get back in touch with her.
Yeah, the applications are online.
Any other new business? Anything else we want to bring up?
One thing is, we talked about best practices of the road commission. And Lenny was concerned about McGraw Pond Road. And
Yeah,
I took my bike over there, I was biking the next day. And I saw that Jason had one of his men spreading the blankets of hay. And, he's doing a lot of ditching around the town.
Yeah.
And seems to be doing a pretty good job.
okay, yeah, that's, well, right, that actually, you're mentioning that reminds me, we had talked about. Working on, and this is a longer term project, we've talked a lot about. Developing BMPs, best management practices. For ditching in watersheds, you know, for the town and for the, you know, roads crew and so forth. Cause at this point, there's, which is this, you understand what I mean, to hold them to particular
I mean,
practices.
are they compelled to any standard at this point?
Not that I know of, not on town roads, you know, well, then they don't do the state roads, so no, they're not, I don't think they are. They're not held to any.
So we should
standard.
have that as an agenda item for next time, to have Warner or Jason Stevens come in and talk about it?
Well, Lorna doesn't know anything about it, so there's no point in having her come in, I can tell you that.
Oh, well, then Jason knows.
Yeah, Jason does, I mean, have both of them come in. Lorna might learn something, or it might be a good opportunity for them to
Yeah,
interact about it.
I wonder if there's anything in the DEP or state, you know, regulations
I don't know.
on that. I'll look into, I'll see what I can find.
Okay.
Or Seven Lakes Alliance may have some information on that as well. Because if we could, that would be a good help.
Oh, rats, my phone was silent. Missed a call from UK, I have no idea why anyone would be calling me from the United Kingdom. Weird.
I do.
The king invited him to his birthday party.
Yeah, we missed it.
Oh, you think so? You know,
Yeah.
it could be, because we're about the same age, so maybe that's what it was.
Must be.
Any other new business?
No.
No. Old business is consideration of the August 2 minutes.
Move for approval.
Hold on. Good job, Paul. Adjourned.
Move for
Thank you.
adjournment.
Good.
Been lovely seeing you fellas.
Okay. How are you doing, Mike? Are you pretty much recovered?
I'm getting there.